Okay, so because I forgot to show this last time, here is the level 11 certificate for passing. And over here, we actually have oh, there goes a book, a certificate for um, parent and child passing together. And these can technically be different tests that you take. And for the mathematics one, as long as they were in the same year, I think the tests do not have to be at the same time. Whereas in the kanji one, they have to be at the same period. So in most cases, the same day, or at least the same. Since they're held three major times a year within those same brackets. So these ones here, since I took the test with my son, we both got level 11. This could technically be any two levels together, and I think you can have up to 5 people in the family taking the test together. And then, unfortunately, for the level 11, we he didn't pass. I took it with him again. I actually passed, but I this is what they give him for sort of like a fancy rejection letter sort of thing. But he is going to be trying hard and getting the test done uh, again soon. He's going to challenge it next time, I think. So his score just came back recently, and he got 13 out of 20, and 14 out of 20 is the passing. So he got pretty close, but I think he just wasn't mentally prepared, even though I think he knew the stuff well enough. What we used to study for this test are these two books here. This one, same as the previous one, basically, but the questions are a bit more difficult. Multiplication and everything included. Let's just take a quick look. We put that down for a minute and see what we've got here. So this is an example of one of the kind of difficult questions. Or I think it's difficult because they want you to actually measure this thing on the page. And so you have to take out a ruler and measure it. And it ended up being like, you measure this and then the other angle there. And it's like 3.4 centimeters or something. So it's not like a perfect 3. And you can't, if you wrote like 3.3 centimeters or whatever, it'd be like, you'd get 0 points, I expect. More questions here with the, figuring out how to add things together within these boxes when they have specific patterns, uh, measurements, and sides, faces, things like that. Clocks again, sort of I think this is a multiplication word problem here, and various other problems. We'll go through a test, I think, in a moment here. So we have much more difficult questions here. Oh, okay. So the other book is a word problem specific book, just different word problems of varying difficulties to figure out how the word problems work in this case and sort of break them down so they're more manageable. So we went through this entire book, had him do everything, and we still couldn't get all the points. So I think he was a little bit maybe not ready with the multiplication for one thing is one of the major ones, because if he had been able to get all the multiplication problems correct on the test, I think he would have passed the test even if he couldn't get all the word problems done. Here we go. Let's take a look at this level 10 here. So the contents of the level 10 are, it's aimed at kids who have finished the second grade of elementary. And okay, that's actually another thing that I kind of want to mention that doesn't really matter too much, but I already turned off the other camera, but oh, we can't see it at all. But on this book, it says Mathematics Certification Institute of Japan, the 10th grade. So 10th grade is for school elementary second grade. So again, this is confusing. And for the kanji test, for example, for the school elementary second grade, it would be the ninth grade in these certifications. So what Q they call them grade it will say on some of these things and level on others and whatever. I'm generally just saying level here, but what level corresponds to what grade in school or stage in life isn't a one for one in any of these. So I'll probably go through all of those in a bit more detail at some point. I did a brief description, I think the first video, on what these all are and what they all mean, but it can get pretty confusing since there's so many of these different tests. Anyway, 40 minutes, 20 questions, 70% to pass. I think the math tests are mostly 70%, which is less than a lot of the kanji tests, which is, I'd say in general not too tough. I mean, we didn't get a passing grade this time, so it's not, I'm not going to say it's easy for kids or whatever, but, or anyone for that matter, especially when you get to the higher levels, but, 70% sounds reasonable to me compared to some other tests anyway. All right. So the contents of this are roughly, and this isn't exact apparently, but roughly 45% the stuff that you learned throughout grade 2 of elementary, and roughly 45% stuff that you actually learned in grade 1. So when we take the practice test, they'll probably have questions there about just simple multiple or simple addition and subtraction as well, and then about 10% specialized problems that maybe are slightly more difficult than what the people who've taken the test would have already learned. Which, and if you can't get the specialized ones, but you get everything else right, that's still 90% on the test. So it will be a pass anyway. All right, let's take a look at the problems this time. So the level 10, same as before. You can write your name and everything. So first we start with some simple problems, just like with the level 11. The first 10 questions are just fairly simple problems, and you'll see the first 5 of these, I guess maybe 6, first 5 anyway, look very similar to what we saw in the level 11. So they're elementary grade 1 style questions. And then the next few questions, especially the last 3 here, we're adding with pretty big numbers. You have to go up 6 plus 4. You have to go up in the 10th area, and then we have a couple multiplication questions here: 9 times 8, 4 times 7, and by the time we went to the test, my son was really good at multiplications of 5, for example, and and a few others. But I think 7, 8, 9, that area was still pretty difficult, and I'm pretty sure at least one of the questions on the test will be in that area. Yeah, and here I guess both of them technically are 7, 8, 9, right? And then we get into our first word problem. So half the questions on the test are going to be some kind of word problems. So we have the numbers 1 to 30, and in the ones category, how many 6s appear in there, and then between 30 and 70, how many hold on, what is this? So how many of the same number will appear in the 10 and 1 category. So I guess that'd be like 33 would count as 1. Again, I'm kind of skimming these questions here, you know. I took the test with my son. I got a perfect score. Once again, this is not the level of test where adults can really brag about a perfect score in most cases, but yeah, it's it's still, you know, elementary school level. And I do think once you get to higher levels, you know, adults would be less likely to get perfect scores, though, or even high scores. Maybe not pass it sometimes. We'll see as we go along. So here's a clock question. Um, so these are 3 people, and what times they got to the station or whatever. And then they ask the question number 13 is probably closer to a elementary grade 1 question. They're just asking what time this person got there and who got there the earliest. I don't know, he's somewhere between grade 1 and grade 2. I'm not sure. Then we have, okay, this question, we're getting a bit more difficult here. This is definitely grade 2 level. You go to a store, you buy some colored paper, and 1 piece is 5 yen. And you also get some, what would this be? Drawing paper or whatever. And one of those papers is 9 yen a piece. So this person here goes and gets 8 colored papers. And is that all? So, okay, so this question would be not too hard, just simple 8 times 5. But they also say you have to write here, you have to write the equation and the answer. So a lot of kids on the earlier tests, like the level 11, 10, and I think 9, they'll ask you to write the equation and the answer. And a lot of the time the kids will forget the equation and just write the answer because they don't read through the question very clearly. I'm skimming through the questions myself, so I'll probably miss something. But you know, that's one of the easier ones for kids to miss on these tests, I think. And then this other person got 7 colored papers and 3 of these drawing papers or whatever. And how much did that cost? This one you don't have to write the equation for, but you need to be able to know the answer. So, you know, 7 times 5 and 3 times 9 and add those together, basically. So, again, the question, you know, when I'm an adult explaining these questions, they don't sound so difficult. But when you're a kid first learning this, you know, 6 or 7 years old, I don't think this is easy, or it's been kind of hard to explain when we're going through some of the practice problems. And although I do feel often there's a lot of situations where it depends how focused he is on actually answering the questions or motivated. And I think on the actual test, there was a little bit of lack of focus and motivation that time, unfortunately. Again, you know, if he'd tried just a little bit harder on the actual thing, we probably could have passed it. But, you know, I think this also gives us a chance to get more familiar with the test and multiplication, everything, because I'm pretty sure that the next level up is going to have division, which, even though it's the inverse of multiplication, I think gives a lot of kids some issues. All right, so the next problem, we have some lengths here. So you look at this, and they want you to figure out the length of this side. So this first question, pretty easy. As long as you know that okay, so it says it's a rectangle, and you know that opposite sides will have the same length in this kind of rectangle here. So would be 12. And then the next one, it seems kind of tricky. Let's see how they're wording it here. So you have a rectangle paper like this below here. So these images here. And you fold it here and then cut this out. And then you unfold it, and they want to know the length of a single side of the this one here when you unfold it. And I guess the biggest hint is this word here. So this is a square, as in an even square. When you unfold it, so we already knew from the start that this was this length. So if you unfold it and it's an even square, then the top, even though they don't show us specifically what centimeter we cut it, because we have this keyword here, we would be able to determine that it would be the same length as this, which it's kind of confusing if you focus too much on the image itself or on what's going on. Because if you this is the only thing that really all you really need is this word and this length here, and to know what you're trying to measure, and then you should be able to come up with the answer. But they put in so much information that this one I think could be really confusing. And let's go on to the final question here. So looks like we have a pattern going on. So this is the 1 yen coin and then the 5 yen coin. So you have 7 and then 14, 21. You keep going like that. So they're asking you what is the which coin will be the 14th in this list, and I expected it would be a 1 yen coin. I haven't calculated this directly, but probably 1 yen. I mean, when you have the lower numbers like the 14th or whatever, you can sort of just go calculate it out like this. And since it's not divisible by 3, it would be a 1 yen coin, yeah, but normally you wouldn't know division at this point, so I don't know. I think probably the best way to do this would be just to like write out the coins, since it's a low number. Again, this is under the assumption that we do not have a grasp of the higher arithmetic or even mathematics yet. So the 14th coin, just keep writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You're almost there already, right? And then you go up to the 19th coin, and how much money do you have in total? And again, this is probably easiest if you just write out all the coins and then add them up. Or if you let's see, how many do we have here? We have 9, and we already know it's 21. So 21 times 2 plus 1. There's some ways I think you could get through this pretty easily. But again, if you're like a 6-7-year-old, you might just want to write out the coins first and then calculate it. That's probably what I'd do. Maybe even as an adult, if they just said, these small numbers, if they were started telling me like the 1,981st coin, whatever, how much money would you have, then I don't think I'd be counting them. But at this point, I'd say counting is probably easier for most people. Again, probably mathematicians would disagree, but that's how I'd probably be teaching it at this point. So that is the level 10, and we did not yet passed level 10. So we are doing a little bit of math training every couple days, getting ready for the for him to take it again. Um, and I think, since he only missed it by 1 point last time, and he's got so much more time this time, I don't think that it would be a huge problem as long as he's got the basics of multiplication down and he's a little bit focused on the test. Should be all right. Right, that is this level 10 test, and the materials that we use to study and the results, both good and bad. And and again, I think there are going to be a lot of tests or situations in the future that we are not going to pass. There's going to be even some maybe that I take with him or on my own that I don't pass. As I think I mentioned in the very first video, I've taken a very high level kanji test before I didn't pass. Uh, one for this one is strictly for adults and not for students. So it's I'm not gonna say people aren't. I think if you fail high level tests or whatever, there's no shame in it. I think it's better to try and not succeed than to not try at all. Probably, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to teach my son here as well, right? If you go to the test and you focus, you try hard, and there's I because I've taken these tests with him, and again I've taken my own tests. I understand completely that when you're in the actual situation, there's a lot of stress. You're under a strict time limit. You're often in an unfamiliar environment. You're doing things maybe that you're not very confident with, and there's a lot of times where you're not going to pass. And I kind of, in a weird way, I do think it's maybe good that he wasn't able to pass this time, so he can sort of gain that experience of uh, failing at something that he tries early on, and then being able to just within a few months try again and be able to improve his skills in that same area. So this is something that is probably going to be for the best in the end. That being said, I hope that we're able to study hard and not fail any other tests moving forward, or at least pass more than we fail. But it's more about the journey, learning, and getting better along the way. It's about leveling up, and the biggest part of leveling up is improving yourself. So that's what we're doing here. All right, everybody, let's level up.